All right, we welcome you to another After Hours podcast. It's kind of funny. This isn't After Hours anymore. This is the only hours
this
we
is
keep
during
all
hours.
of a sudden. This is all Stout and I have. So it's Jason Hirsh, Andy Lindahl, Marc Stout with you.
Are we going to do an After Hours show sometime?
Yeah, hopefully here at Stranahan's.
I might be more interested in drinking at that point.
Well, yeah, but hey, man, our schedules just got wide open.
I noticed.
So
Yeah.
whenever you're ready, we'll come do it midweek or something.
Yeah.
How has it been? I mean, obviously,
It's a
for
lot
those
cheaper to drink at home, by the
I
way.
feel like everyone's listening. I addressed this. I did a Facebook Live, which is just my only way to keep from Jones and to talk little Broncos whenever there's the off-season moves. You and I had to endure the
but now you can say whatever you want
desert
to say.
of, not being able to talk Broncos, and now finally stuff's actually happening and we're not on the radio.
Yeah,
For those that want to know,
yeah.
it's just part of the business, right, Stout? I'm not here to talk about it. There's no big deal. There's no great secret. It's just sometimes they make money moves, and that's what happened.
I didn't say much about it at all. Actually, nothing. But if you listen to 760, you'll notice that there's no show on in the afternoon. So Crockett and Stout's history, it's defunct, and
It's part of the business, right?
Moving on. Well, it's the first time for me. I started at 97 Rock in Buffalo 30 years ago, first week of March. And I figured out since then to now I'd never been fired. The only time that I had off was either vacation or I was in between jobs, and I took, an extra week. But it's weird. Figured it out.
It's almost like you're getting a well-deserved rest. 30 years in radio.
Well, I hope so, Hirsch. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you saved in your retirement plan.
But I was thinking about you, and
What did I do?
the life. No, the life.
We're
of a
blaming you.
What did I do? I'm not responsible for this.
No, but the life of a baseball player.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many long-term contracts you had or what they
0.
mean. Okay, but every year you had to kind of prove your worth.
Yep.
And
Well, I was kind of a slave, to be honest with you, because I was on my 7-year deal when you sign. You belong to that organization for 7 years. So I was perpetually on that agreement with every ball club. It just got transferred.
like I see, the Rockies came out and they say all these guys have signed a 1-year deal.
Yep.
Which is basically, what is it, 3/4 of the team?
It depends on each player. But, yeah, if you're a free agent or a arbitration guy who's just kind of a role filler, that's what you're going to get, 1-year deals.
Yeah.
Now, if you're Trevor Bauer, Trevor has publicly said that he will only ever take 1-year deals in his career. He will never sign a multi-year deal.
Because he's betting on himself?
He's betting on himself.
Right.
Kind of the Kirk Cousins theory.
He says, I should be paid what I am worth every year, not a lump sum over X amount of years. I want to earn my spot every year.
Well, then
which is honorable.
It is.
And
but,
stupid.
Yeah, I was going to say, until all of a sudden things just kind of, you don't have it anymore, right?
But that's he's hedging his bets, right? He's betting against it. Like, listen, last year he went into arbitration, asked for a certain amount of money, got more money than he asked for, which doesn't happen very often. But obviously, he's got a good agent. We have the same agent, or we had the same agent. And he took the excess money and he donated it to something that he called it was 69 days of giving. He gave $420 for 68 straight days. And on the 69th day, he gave $4,200 to the charity of his choice. But during those 68 days prior, you could nominate any
charity
you want,
right.
and he would donate $420 in your name to that charity. Okay. That was coming out of his. He figured out that he had the whole thing was all centered around 69 and 420. And everyone's like, why did you use, sex and pot references? He goes, that way people know what it is. Like it's memorable when you say that.
I feel like we should have known about this, Andy.
I can't. Well, we've been watching combine workouts.
And this happened last year. Remember, baseball is really bad at promoting itself, good or bad. And this is one of those deals where an athlete was giving away money and baseball was not interested in it because of the numbers, I guess, that were associated with it. But at the same time, this was a player giving away his money to charity for their benefit and not selfish reasons.
Yeah, but Jason, for somebody like you, so say you're in camp, they tell you got a chance of making the team. I don't know, whatever, starting rotation, long relief, and then you don't, and then so you're starting at AAA.
Right.
How does the money thing work? Do you get paid the same no matter what? Because there's minor league.
Depends on what happened the previous year. So if you were in the big league squad the previous year, you make a prorated version of that amount of money in AAA, right? Especially if you're still on the roster, right? If you're not a roster player, so not a 40-man roster player, then you get paid, whatever AAA salary is. It's like $3,500 a month right now.
So would you guys get paid? Do you get paid monthly, weekly? I don't know, like the regular.
It's biweekly.
Just like the regular people in the world. Here, it's direct deposit. And
Yep, direct deposit. You're
all right.
$1,500 or whatever it is in AAA before Uncle Sam gets his cut.
Right.
Right, and every state that you play in that you have to pay taxes in, and Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and all that stuff.
Have you gotten any of your severance
No,
money
man,
yet?
I'm sweating it. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm sweating it, but it is what it is.
How does that work?
I think we're supposed to get it the 15th if all the paperwork goes through. Again, it's just supposed to continue on your paydays as best I can understand.
All right.
But you know how it is. They hand you a legal document that,
I don't.
I'm not a lawyer. I'm like, you know what?
What?
Yeah, here's a 12-page. Here's a 12-page document. Sign it.
Exhibit what? Huh?
Yeah, I don't know what it means. I've got the nuts and bolts of when I can go back to work. But I'm sure. Look, see, this is something I bet you can relate to. And I don't know about you. Maybe you've dealt with this before. But again, I made it 20 years without this happening. And Don Martin, our old boss, called me the guy that got me into the business, the day that it happened. He goes, "Welcome to the big leagues. You're a pro now that you've been fired." He goes, "No one's a pro in radio until you've been fired." So. And again, I want to reiterate, and I think I speak for both of us because Marc worked there previously, loved our time at iHeart. And again, it's just part of the deal. But you can probably relate to this, man. I just wonder, am I going to get back in? Is there going to be a place for me? Because everyone keeps asking me, where are you going? I'm like, well, I'll go wherever they want me to. It's do they want me?
Now my circumstances were a little bit different because I left the game because of injury, right? So I didn't really have a choice in potentially getting back. It's not like I was a healthy player who's got released and then had to go try and find another ball club that was interested. I was an injured player who was trying to come back and prove that I could still do it. That's a little bit different. So I've never been released. I've been sent down, an option, and that feels like crap. But I've never actually been in a situation where I had to go and prove to somebody that I could still play the game.
I always think about that too, like Andy. Like, you know what, Andy? We kind of like what you're doing, but we're going to option you to the radio station we have in Pueblo, and see what you can do for 2 months on the morning show down in Pueblo, and then maybe we'll
the old send down, the radio send down.
We'll bring you back up to the bigs in Denver.
Did you ever worry about getting a call back?
You're going to be relegated just to the internet,
right?
And then once we feel like
podcast,
once we feel like the podcast is good, then maybe we'll call you back up to the airways. Yeah.
Someone gets the laryngitis or something. We'll bring you back up. Did you
ever cut his vocal cords?
That's
right. Did you ever worry that you wouldn't get the call back up? I mean, what's the first 24 to 48 hours of getting sent down like?
It's gut punch, and then it's misery, and you wallow in that misery. Then you hate everybody, and then
probably around that point after 2 weeks.
Then you go down to AAA, and you hate everybody there. And then you pitch like shit or you hit like shit, and then you expect to be called back up after poorly performing. And when you don't, then you realize, oh, crap, I actually got to pull my stuff together now. So
I love that. That's great.
Yeah, it's pretty much what it is. I mean, there's a lot of anger.
Well, it's been interesting. I've got a lot of good friends, and you'll probably experience it. Everybody wants to take you to lunch, and it's fine. But I find myself – like, I finally don't have to drive from the tech center. For me, it was like a 30-minute drive, and I keep driving to the tech center somehow every day, and I'm
just
coaching.
Habit.
So it's like I'm like the busiest unemployed guy at the moment that there is.
I almost texted you. I do have a lunch, and I have a coffee coming up this week. And, somebody's like, is 8:30 too early? And I'm like, not now, it's not.
anymore.
Not all day, baby.
Yeah,
it's
right.
wide open.
Right, yeah.
So, anyway. Well,
see what happens.
I was kind of curious. I feel like you can probably – I tell the athletes all the time, though, that we cover. I've told them we are really – the football guys. I've worked with so many football guys that I did shows with. Like, what's the business like? And you know what? It's no different than the media.
I can guarantee it's the same feelings. Like, that's your livelihood. It's your passion. It's the same thing for us. It's our livelihood. It's our passion. Yeah. When somebody else tells you that you're either no longer good enough or you can't have that anymore, it's tough. It's real tough.
Well, and it can happen at any moment. That's the thing. That's what I keep trying to explain to people. Look, if you're not performing, they let you go. That's just how it is. That's how it is.
Although I think the trend in professional sports is the guaranteed money in contracts, but I don't.
Well, that's only in Major League Baseball.
I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think that's coming our way.
Yeah, my next deal probably will not involve any guaranteed money.
Can you sign like a 10-year deal with a 3-year out?
I would. It's not been offered.
Can I just say, I want a guaranteed contract with a 3-year out just in case I don't like the station
for those
anymore.
that don't, I'll tell you what, in radio, our typical contracts where you're guaranteed for 3 months. You are given one ratings period, and then they get to decide on you. And if they fire you, they have to pay you for that 3 months. But other than that, and now we all have our little built-in severance packages,
right.
so you know what's coming right away. And I'm waiting for that to get all figured out.
Can't you rent time on stations?
You can, and I mean,
weekend
maybe that's the way that you go. But look,
But
man,
you got to find your own sponsors to pay for it and the whole nine.
Jason, that's like the people that say to me, "Why don't you drive for Uber or Lyft?" And I got my mom's 2005 Camry with 180,000 on it. It's not going to cut it. And they go, "Well,
means it'll be reliable."
But then they go, "Well, they'll rent you a car, to make money." And I'm that sounds like that's not a good plan.
Well.
I'm going to rent a car
if you want to
keep
keep your skills sharp and talk the way you want to talk.
Well, that's why we're doing the podcast.
Right.
To be honest with you.
I mean, now that you guys have freedom, you can kind of say what you want to say without having to toe the line, so to speak, right?
Yeah, but I got to be honest with you.
Not really.
I didn't really.
You didn't really toe the line while you were there either?
Here's the thing. Everybody, and it's funny you would say that because I've had a lot of listeners reach out and say, all right, tell me how you really feel about Flacco. Tell me how you really feel. And believe me, I use that voice, but I appreciate everybody reaching out to me. I appreciate people care, and we both had an impact on people. But that was my thing, is that I was never a shock jock because to me, everything's a wait and see. I've learned in my career, who taught me this was Jay Cutler. I watched Jay Cutler throw the football. I was one of the guys pounding the table. We got to get rid of Jake Plummer. This guy sucks. He can't throw all the passes. He can't run the whole offense. He can't this. He can't that. Never took into account that his teammates actually battled for him, that he was the best leader on that team, that he was the glue, that he knew how to just make things happen when it all broke. And from ever since then, and I've told Jake to his face, man, I was wrong about you. And from that point forward, I try. You know what? I got a general idea how I think you'll do. Look, man, I watched Paxton Lynch throw, and you and I hung out long enough. I was like,
I knew your true opinions there.
Yeah, that one I knew wasn't going to work. But for the most, like with Flacco, you know what? If you block for him, it's going to work, and if you don't, it's going to look like the last 4 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm just not into the dramatic sweeping statement because sports has taught me you don't know. We just have to wait and see how it works out.
Plus on 762, everything was. I mean, Jason, we had 3-hour shows every day, same topics over and over.
You had to beat the drum.
It got pretty tedious. Even the Antonio Brown thing, get Antonio Brown, come to Denver. Let's spend a better part of a week on that. So we'll
he's
see.
a Raider now, allegedly.
I know. How about that?
Yeah.
So he'll go there.
He's happy. He got his money.
Well, he'll be not as happy when he's dead last.
No, I
again.
agree with you. When they can't block for Derek Carr any better than they did last year, and he's still not getting the football, good luck. Good luck dealing with that soap opera.
Oh well.
It's total draw. It's John Gruden.
At the end of the day, he got paid, right?
Oh yeah, good for him. About. Well, I mean, let me ask you that: have you ever had a place? Because some guys have told me, and I know, look, Joe Public and you and I are kind of in that right now. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm stressed about my future, and I'm stressed about keeping life intact, right? And keeping my kids where they need to be. So I don't say this lightly, but guys have told me, and I can get it. It doesn't matter how much you're making when football goes wrong. It is a miserable existence.
Well, anytime you lose, it sucks. You could be the biggest loser and the richest guy on the team, and you're still going to be miserable, right? I would much rather take less money to play for a team that was going to be a perennial contender because at least I know that I'm going to be happy. Like the adage says, winning cures all.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
It's the same thing. Like just because I'm making $5 million instead of $15 million, and that $5 million I'm making on a team that's perennially in the playoffs, and the 15 would have been with a team that will make the playoffs once every decade, I'm probably going to want the 5 for the team that's going to win.
Okay, Manny Machado.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Machado took a bunch of money to go play in San Diego.
I couldn't believe that 2 years ago. I'm like, come on, Hosmer, stay.
And that's I'm the thing with baseball. Those are guaranteed contracts. Like those two guys could have literally gone anywhere.
Right, there are exceptions.
They chose San Diego.
It's a nice place.
Well, that's the thing.
I'd go live there
if I'm going to lose, San Diego's probably not a bad place to lose in. You know what I mean? Because one, media pressure is not going to be bad. Right?
No.
Because there really is. They're the only pro sports team in town, but nobody really gives a shit about the Padres, right? And then two, you're in San Diego,
right?
At the end of the day, he's going to make 159 of his.
You pull open the shades and you're like, They're paying me to play
there's the
baseball
beach. Yeah.
today.
I mean, at the end of the day, he's going to make 159 of the 300 million that is in his contract,
Yeah,
right?
we can't. Yeah,
From all the taxes and whatnot.
I know.
I could do pretty well on 159 million. Tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Be pretty happy.
All right.
I could do pretty well off the
Now,
interest.
is Machado worth 300 million? I don't think so. But obviously, to the Padres, he was.
It's the going rate.
And I would rather, and this is the double-edged sword of it, I would rather Machado have the money than the ownership have the money.
All right, so let's get to Nolan's deal. I mean,
I would
you and
rather
said,
Nolan have the deal than the Monforts have the money.
I'll tell you what, it was interesting because we sat at the Snowflake release. We sit here at Strain Hands where we do our usual Sunday podcast. It's this crew. You can come hang out. This is more just kind of the water cooler topics of the week when we do this one. But we're at the distillery. Come by, see us hang out, have a drink, whatever. It's usually what we're doing around 1:30 every Sunday. So stop on by. They're off of Alameda and First here or whatever. But
it's called Bryant, but I don't know.
We were sitting here having the Snowflake release. You and I got talking baseball. You were talking about what do they do with Nolan. If you're not going to sign him, you better trade him.
Right.
So on and so forth. Ultimately, you thought it was really more on Nolan. I mean, and I thought it was interesting because the contract has that 3-year out or whatever.
Right.
And I thought, you know what? There's Jason. You were talking about how you thought Nolan would hold their feet to the fire to stay competitive. What did you think of the deal?
One, I was surprised that the Monforts offered that kind of money. Two, I'm surprised that Nolan took it. But at the same time, obviously he sees some promise in the next couple of years with the talent that the Rockies have coming up or that are now in the big leagues with Freeland and Marquez and with Trevor
Anderson.
Story.
Anderson's relatively young. Tyler,
Anderson was one of the best left-handed pitchers in baseball for the first half of last season.
And I know he was a first-round pick. I'm just talking pitching though,
right?
Because you got to go. You just got to go there.
But even last year was a down year offensively for the Rockies, which is not normal. But I think you look with Brendan Rodgers coming up, with Garrett Hampson at second base, that it looks like he's making a push to be on this team this year. There's a lot of pieces that you can say, look, the Rockies are moving in the right direction. The 3-year out is his insurance. He's hedging his bets that in case it's not, he can still walk away at 30 or 31, and he'll still make whatever he would have made on the rest of this deal. He'll still be the highest paid position player, but now he gets to go to a team where he wants to play.
It's like the A-Rod deal.
Right. Well, listen, A-Rod had two $250 million deals, which is...
He had the gross national product of a couple small countries.
There was a really well-written article by Ken Rosenthal in The Athletic, which I have now canceled my subscription to. But... that's a little side note. That's what happens, right, Andy?
Right, yeah. Start to say,
that one worth it anymore.
Yeah, and I read it. It was pretty cool. It talks about the whole ongoings, how Bridich and Dick Monfort flew out to Orange County, and that's where Nolan was working out. And they meet at that John Wayne Airport, like a hangar.
Yeah, the John Wayne Airport.
And Reggie Jackson happens to be there. I don't know.
By chance, he's at John Wayne Airport in Ontario, California?
Correct. He's there, and
the most random thing ever.
Nolan has a conversation with him, and Mr. October says to him, like, he gives him some kind of sage advice, like, follow your heart, all that, what you want to do. And the fact that Bridich and Monfort went out there really and had a face-to-face. It was more than texting. It was more than social media. It's like the relationship we have right here, looking at each other, talking. It was face-to-face. Meant so much to him to look in the eye and say, is this team going to be competitive? Is this where we're going? And I'm always very critical of people that say the Monforts don't spend money or they spend it on the park. And I hear what you say. Give the money to the players.
100%.
And because I always say to people, well, I'll go like, Andy, you just criticize the Monforts. I'll go, hey, you got $500 I can have right now? I'm going to spend it the way I want to. Oh, no, you want to keep your $500 and spend it the way you want to. Okay, because you own the team. I get it. But this could be a new era. We'll see.
I hope it's a change, and I would love to see the Rockies go out and do it one more time. And I've said this for the last couple of weeks. I'd love to bring Dallas Keuchel in. Like, just to solidify, that would be really a shot across the bow to the Dodgers.
Do you know him from back when?
I don't. I never played with him.
All right.
But I know he's a Cy Young caliber pitcher. He's a sinker baller. So I don't know how well that would play at Coors, but having a veteran guy who can give you 200 innings on your staff, you would look at that rotation of the Rockies and be like, damn, that's a playoff contender right there.
We forgot about John Gray, who has as much talent as anybody.
Yeah,
right?
and Gray is a guy. He's the wild card in this whole thing, right? If he's managed to pull his head out for more than a month and a half,
he's really
then
good, man.
I think there's a chance that the Rockies are a legitimate ball club, right? Well, regardless, if you had the same offense as you had last year, but your starting five gave you a chance to win every time that you went out there.
Hey, no.
Right? I don't think you've ever had a time in the Rockies' history where you could say all 5 starters have given you an opportunity to win the game.
It's so competitive. I saw, while we're talking baseball quick, USA Today, Bob Nightingale, who I like. I've met Bob at Wyomania with...
Cancel your USA Today subscription, too?
No. It's just online. That's still free.
Oh, okay.
But Bob's a good dude. And they put their 6 writers together, and they predicted the season. They predict the Rockies finishing second to the Dodgers. Dodgers easily in first. Rockies not getting to 90 wins. They've got a 3-way tie in the NL Central with the Brewers, Cards, and Cubs. And then the East, now with the Phillies involved, you got the Phillies, the Braves, the Nationals, all those.
The Mets.
And the Mets all with, 85-plus wins.
Yep.
And they have the Rockies on the outside looking in with like 87 wins. It's so difficult. But they do have the Giants with 63 wins. And that made me happy. I cannot.
He's got a huge smile on his face right now.
I cannot stand the San Francisco Giants.
Why does the broadcast crew hate him so much? Because I feel like from TV to radio, nobody likes the Giants. What is it about?
The broadcast crew, I mean, this is from the brief time that I was at Root, and my understanding from a player standpoint, too, is that the broadcast crew for the Giants always seemed to think that the Rockies were somehow cheating.
Yeah,
like there was always this thing that, and back in 2007, Manny Corpus was loading the ball, and Tulo was getting signs from center field, and I'm like, no, we had the Giants number. We've always had the Giants number.
For me, there's this smugness about the organization where they've got the best park, AT&T, in the best city, and then all of a sudden they got to go to Denver and play softball at Coors Field, and their pitchers get lit up, and they're not used to it, and they feel like the Rockies shouldn't be in the division.
Right,
They're
it's
like,
JV baseball.
or something. It's
right.
just
it's beneath them to come to Coors Field and play.
It does feel a little bit like that. Yeah. So, I don't know, maybe they'll lose 100 games this year. I won't feel bad.
Yeah, well, you know what?
Fingers crossed, right?
Hey, we all love that. We all love your 2-0 games that we get treated to every game of the series when we go out to San Francisco.
And those games are always one-run games.
Yeah,
they are always tight. Regardless of how good, regardless of how good the Giants are and how bad the Rockies are, or vice versa, they are always one-run games.
Well, can I just get a couple guys on base? Do I have to watch everybody just struggle to get the
ball
ball
to
lead?
Sports. What do you think of hockey? Do you like an 8-5 hockey game?
I would take a 4-2 game. I'm not telling you I need 10 runs scored between the teams,
would
but
you
I don't
take a
want to
4-2
watch.
baseball
I don't
game?
want to watch. Yes, that's what I said. I don't. That's
I thought you were talking about hockey.
No, I'm talking about baseball in particular. I don't need.
But I threw hockey out there because all sports, everything's going all like yardage.
How many 1-0 though games have we seen in San Fran?
Wait a second. Can we hit the pause button here? What's the most popular game in the world? Soccer, right? Yeah. They play for 90 minutes and nobody wins.
Well, good for them,
right? And it's the most boring thing ever. So how is a 3-hour baseball game where somebody's gonna win less entertaining than that?
I didn't. Don't paint the whole baseball game. I'm talking about the Giants. It's the one damn park that bores the crap out of me because I just know unlikely to see much happening here today. That's all.
The air's heavy. The ball's not going to fly.
All right.
The pitcher's park.
Well, you know what? I'll pass on it till next. Hey, when do we get to San
Skip
Diego?
the Giants series. It's fine. No one's gonna cry.
All right, we'll revisit this. I can tell you the first Giants series. It's the second weekend in April at San Fran.
We will. Well, you know what?
4-game series.
You know what got me bitter on the Giants? Jack Corrigan really influenced me because I asked him one time just over the talk back. I was like, Jack, why do you hate the Giants so much? You hide a lot of things, but you don't hide that very well on the air. And Jack was like, Andy, I just get so tired when we're in September and the game doesn't mean anything. And there's maybe even, there was maybe even a substantial lead, and Bruce Bochy is still going righty for righty and lefty for lefty.
He's playing matchups.
He's using every guy in the
bullpen.
He's got
the slowest walk to the mound in the world because he's got like a club.
Can we get him a cart?
Like, can you just make the change from the
Yeah.
dugout? Can you take
Well,
one
seriously,
step?
here's what we need to add. We need a little golf cart ready to go. You could sponsor it, right? Just go ahead and sponsor it. The quick ride Uber. Just jump on Uber.
You should get a surrogate.
Yeah, and then let's get the guy, instead of coming out of the pin, it's a little cart. Get him to the
You
mound
know what
quicker.
he
We don't
needs
need
a
the
sticky
jog.
pad, and he'll write down the change on the sticky pad and give it to a player on the bench who then runs out and makes the pitching change for him.
This is it for him. He's
Yeah,
retiring after this year.
Yeah, have you heard that they've talked about Buster Posey being a player coach? He'd be the first since Pete Rose.
What would you think of that? How would you
I think
respond
it'd
to
be
that?
awesome.
Yeah.
Really?
I think it'd be great.
First since Pete? Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
first since Pete. I think it'd be great.
Yeah. Hey,
It'd be definitely a different dynamic. But
I know.
I think it would be awesome.
while we're talking baseball and rules and slowing the game down in Bochy, did you read about what they're going to do in the Atlantic League and the Independent
Yes,
League?
it's stupid.
Tell me. I haven't heard.
All right, so
I don't have my USA Today subscription.
Major League Baseball, yeah. It was in the Athletic, but he just
You had to
canceled
cut
it.
that?
I never signed up for that, even though I
So,
love Nicky
so
Jabal.
the Atlantic League has now partnered with Major League Baseball, right? And I get why the Atlantic League's doing it. They're getting a whole bunch of free technology.
Yeah.
They're getting a partnership with a major organization, even though they're an independent league. So they're going to test drive all these new baseball rules that they want to potentially put into play in Major League Baseball to see if they can speed the game up by 30 seconds or whatever the stupid minuscule amount of time is. So they're going to move the pitcher's mound back 2 feet. So it's not going to back.
In the second half of the season.
So they're moving it to 62 feet 6 inches
Yeah.
instead of 60 feet 6 inches. They're going to use robo umpires along with the pitch clock, and
They're doing something with the bases. They're like making the bases
they're making
bigger.
the bases bigger.
So you can hit them like quicker or something?
I think it's so you don't like step on them, or so the guys can slide to a certain part of the base. Like I'm just imagining
like a runner's part.
Yeah,
The base
it's-
is going from like
You know
15
what that's
to
going to
18.
be? That's going to be like
and
Don
then-
Beebe's helmet with the big pad
yes,
on it.
it's going to be the Gazoo helmet.
That'll be the
I got to
Beebe's.
correct you on this. You say Don
I know it's
Beebe.
Tasker, sorry.
No, it's Mark Kelso, who
Yeah,
was
whatever.
the safety. All right.
All right,
I
so
all
then,
for it.
and then the last rule
Buffalo
is
people might be listening to this, and they would be pissed if I didn't tell you that.
the last rule is that every relief pitcher must face a minimum of 3 batters.
Okay,
you
now
go.
that I like. Now that I like. I'm sorry, that I like.
Hey, Jason, 45 pitches in.
I'm telling you,
you're getting lit
nothing
up?
about these new rules is going to speed the game up. Right? If you're asking a pitcher who has very tight tolerances at 60 feet 6 inches, now he has 2 more feet of movement to throw more strikes. I don't know what.
Well, I don't get
Chase.
the moving it back 2 feet. What?
I don't. Did you
I mean, what do we think we're doing
Did you
there?
get any offers to play in the Atlantic League? Because I know that league.
I played in the American Association for 2 weeks and then I retired.
Because the Atlantic League I know was like in Newark.
Was
and-
that one
and
bus
East
ride?
and-
The Atlantic League is like 4A, right? It's independent league baseball, but the quality of athletes there are like AAA or better.
Well, there's some like I know like Tim Raines played like after
Yes,
he
like
retired.
pro guys too. So like the
Right.
Long Island Ducks are notorious for having
Yeah.
like the
Name
best
guys.
squad,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because they're always ex-pros and
Yeah.
guys with major league experience or guys that had like long major league careers that are trying to come back. But they are the basically the cream of the crop in terms of independent league baseball.
Now hold on. The Long Island Ducks
Yeah.
Yes.
seems a little soft for Long Island.
And
I
it would
can't
be-
believe
it
they
would-
put up with
Andy-
that.
They've been,
It's not
they've been
like-
around for a long
it's not
time.
like
They're
the
very,
Long
very,
Island,
I believe didn't Rich Hill
vice grips or
Rich Hill pitched for the
Maybe.
Long Island
Long
Ducks.
Island chokehold
It
or
would be like you and I owning a team, and just if you have the funds, you field a better team than
Right.
your buddies.
well, no,
owning a
Daniel
team.
Schlereth went through the independent league
Yes.
for a little bit last year, so
Where's he at
I
now? I
kind of
saw
got.
something,
He's with Boston. He's got a few
for
big
him,
league,
man.
got a
He's
few
got a
big
big league
league
invite.
appearances, and
Yeah.
but we'll see. See, that's what's crazy is that I talked to his dad the other day, and I was like, "How's it going?" I mean, I'm seeing highlights. He's facing big league hitters, and he's still like, "Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, no,
We'll see if I get a stick."
That's how it is. I mean, best
Do you
case,
sleep well at all during spring training?
if you have a guaranteed job, sure. Yeah, but if you don't have a guaranteed job, no, you're always looking over your shoulder. I mean, for Danny's going to have to go in there, and he could literally throw up zeros at 96 miles an hour and still not get a job because it's the Red Sox. Like, they've already got their bullpen
See, and that
designed.
basically you're not far. He's at 92. He's not at 96, but he's in his 30s. So do they want to keep a guy in his 30s?
And how
around?
many innings? Like they keep track of that, and you as a pitcher, like, oh wait a minute, I'm only at like 3.3 and 2/3.
I mean, and listen,
we're 2 weeks in.
Like when I was with New York in spring training,
The Yankees,
and, yeah. This is when I was trying to make the club, right?
Yeah.
And after I'd gotten traded over there, and I had like the spring training of my life. You know, the cliche, you come in the best shape, whatever. This was literally the best spring
Just
training.
mowing guys down?
My shit was like mid-season form. And I threw probably 3 innings. I had like probably 7 or 8 strikeouts, no walks, like dealing. Then we had a rain out, and I got my appearance pushed back. And then I got pushed, and then I hadn't thrown for 2 weeks. And then I was super secret backup on a road trip to like Port Charlotte. I'm sitting in the bullpen watching at just a terrible game. Like every relief pitcher's gone in except for me.
Oh no, did it happen?
And Mike Harkey is my bullpen coach, and he looks at me and he goes, "All right, Skip wants you to throw just throw your regular bullpen like a side day." So I threw my side day, and after the game, I went and sat down with Girardi, and he's like, "Yeah, we need to send you down today, so get you stretched out to be a starter in AAA." I'm like, "You could have done that 2 weeks ago, and not strung me along." Believe me, I appreciated the big league meal money; it was awesome, but that's how it is, right?
Were you sensing it? Did something seem awry?
Yeah,
during
when
that
you
2
don't
weeks?
throw for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
something's going on.
Who's at Port Charlotte? Like, is that the Rays?
It's the Rays,
Port
yeah.
Charlotte.
Yeah, it's Florida.
It's like a 2.5-hour drive
Is
from
that
Tampa.
in
Yeah,
where is
yeah.
Port? No, so
It's on
in
the
Florida.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
on the Gulf side, I believe,
Yeah.
of Florida, like near
Yeah, 'cause
Sarasota
the
or
Yankees are
Bradenton.
Tampa Bay, St. Pete.
All right,
and-
seriously. What's the worst small town you had to spend 2-3 days in because of a minor league trip or something?
Oh my God! Don't get me wrong. A lot of small towns are awesome, but Jamestown, New York, was pretty pitiful.
It's the southern tier,
It's-
below Buffalo.
But seriously, like we stayed at a hotel that reeked of like oil. Like it was like where all the guys that worked on the railroads would come stay. And the only place in town that we could eat was a gas station about a half a mile away. And they had a sub shop inside. That was it.
Most famous person born in Jamestown. Do you have any idea?
Not a clue.
All right.
The Jamestown Jammers.
No. Lucille Ball
For real.
is from Jamestown, New York.
What are you going to do without this guy? We got to get this guy back on a break. Can we get him back on
I need to
Root
take you to
Sports?
trivia night is what I need you to do.
It's not far from Olean, where St.
Cleveland.
Bonaventure
But
is.
see, he's a Buffalo guy, so he knows.
Yeah,
What's the famous
don't
pizza
care.
joint in Buffalo that, like,
What, the Anchor Bar?
no.
Lenovo.
So when
Wing
we
joint.
when we
He said
played
pizza.
there, we met a guy. He gave us a bunch of shirts, and he brought us pizzas every day.
Maybe Lenovo, because it's a great.
I don't
it's great.
know.
I love
The
Lenovo.
shirt had like a big fat guy with a mustache on it throwing pizzas in it. I mean, that probably describes every pizza joint in Buffalo. But,
Still have it?
no, I don't. It was neon. It was neon yellow.
Hey,
like-
just so you Buffalo is a different animal.
Yes. I like Buffalo.
Duh.
It's a nice
The
town.
Sabres play the
Bills
Avalanche
Mafia. What?
on Saturday.
Yeah,
the
saw
9th.
that. Cheap shot at the end. What? Go ahead.
And I get a text. Come down to Lodo's downtown. It's a big Buffalo party before and after the Sabres game. I have been milking this 97 Rock 30-year career with the Buffalo fans to this day. I was there and I just threw a 5 up on the bar, and that was good for 5+ hours.
That was they're your people.
Yeah,
They love Marc
It's
Stout.
a different animal, man. I don't know how to explain it. And
Did they
I
even
do
recognize you without the long hair?
I do. There was a guy who came in who was just visiting, like his, because everyone's older than me now, or visiting his daughter.
Right.
And he's like, I'm going to have to
seen
let
his
Carl
grandkids?
Russo know that I'm hanging out with you. And Carl's still on the air. But it's crazy. It is. I do miss that passion from that city for sports. It's just like none other.
Okay, I got to throw this at you guys because we've got an unspoken time limit on this thing.
I hear you.
Because my host can only handle so many minutes. So,
Your host, is that you?
The Spreaker, the
Oh.
Spreaker podcast app.
I got you.
We top out at 45, just so you know.
Oh, okay. Then
but
it's
anyway,
not free anymore. You got to pay for
right?
that software.
I don't. Yeah, they're like upgrade to the Pro plan.
Right.
So anyway, daylight savings. Any
Yeah.
thoughts? We're in the midst of it right now because I was late. I'm always late.
Right.
But today I'm looking at the
Time
clock.
should
I'm
never,
looking at the
from this
clock.
point on, for the rest of humankind, time should never change. There should be no fallback.
Okay, what would you? Yes, thank you. I'm with
There
you.
should
No
be
fallback.
there should
I like
never
it
be a
now. Give me
fallback.
some light after.
I want
the evening.
to be dark at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, let me walk my dog.
I don't want it to be dark at 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, I don't need it. I don't need to be.
Have you ever
wrapped
noticed
up in
too
dark
when
by 5.
when it is fallback, it goes from like dark at 9 to dark at 4 in one day.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
I know.
yeah. And you're like, might as well call it a night.
And I'm like looking
down.
at my watch. I'm like, oh, I'm exhausted. I'm like, oh, look, it's 4:30. I got to go pick up the kids from school.
And we've got kids, which makes it even worse because I'm on my son. Go outside. Go outside. Ah, it's
like,
dark.
I need a
Never
flashlight.
Mind. Yeah.
I don't know. It's never really affected me and my stupid life that I live, but you know,
even when you were doing the BPI morning show.
You're
I know.
You're
When you're up
basically
that
going to
early,
work.
it really doesn't matter.
I'm getting up at 4:15 in the morning to get there by 5:30.
It's dark anyway.
Because April Zesbal will say that, okay, we'll see you tomorrow morning at dark 30 because they're on the air at 5 a.m.
Right.
So, and we've done mornings. Some days you cut it close because you got a show planned, and other days you're like, this was me a lot. What are we going to talk about today? I better get in there and prep
Let's
something.
just flip a coin.
It's not that easy.
Let's just spitball a little bit and search the internet and find something. Hopefully there's a caller out there.
But that was good. Like when I did that morning show, we had show prep meetings that would go 2 hours after the show for the next day.
I have lived my life pretty much by I am not getting there any earlier than I have to.
Yeah.
If I've gotten here 3 minutes early, I didn't time this out right, and it drove Tyler nuts. So
yeah, it's weird because all the athletes, I don't know about you, Jason, but especially in football.
the football guys are 15 minutes early to
50
everything
minutes
because they're
early.
worried they're going to get fined or cut if they aren't.
It's been drilled into them for however many years that if
It's
they're 15 minutes
militaristic.
early, they're 30 minutes late.
Yeah.
So we're the same way with baseball. I mean, I have from the time I was a little kid, I've always had a thing about showing up on time or being slightly early because my parents were always late to pick me up from school. I'm always that one who's like the last one to get picked up.
Coach
I'm like,
is giving you the
where
look.
have you been? Like, oh well, I left late.
Should I wait till you're, should I wait for your
Yeah.
parents?
So I have a maybe it was drilled into me when I was a little kid. Because my kids hate it now too.
See, I'm wondering, are we finally gonna get rid of this thing? Because I'm with you.
I'm
we just
all
don't
about
need it.
let's just stay sprung
Yeah.
forward.
Once I'm on this, don't mess with me anymore. You know?
Like, this is the perfect time. If you're going to get rid of it, do it now.
All right, well, like I said, we're usually the crew out here at Stranahan's. Come join us. We're usually here around 1:30 every Sunday, so stop on by. We had a few fellas listening in, eavesdropping
Andy got
on
here,
us
by the
now.
way, if we're going to go back to the showing
got
up
here
on time thing.
1:35.
You get here 1:38 for
Okay,
the
1:40.
for the 1:30 podcast.
Yeah. Oh, it was funny because I got up there. I'm walking around the house, and you guys should have seen. You'd have really been upset.
My first time I was here, I was 30 minutes early.
Yeah. I was like, Jason, what are you doing?
Yeah, he's like, I haven't even
You're
left the
working
house
with the radio
yet.
guys now. I'm walking around the house. I was watching Building on the Grid, trying to convince myself I could do this if I had to,
Yeah.
which I couldn't. And then I was like, man, noon, I like it. This day's going slow. Then I looked at the actual phone because, again, I have this big
it
clock
updates
in my
itself.
house.
Yeah, the phone.
That one I got to actually get up on a ledge and change the stupid hands. So sorry.
Hey, let's do that topic.
I'm sorry.
Let's do getting off the grid or something. Or
Oh, we're going to have to talk about that at
Yeah,
some point.
let's do that someday.
Because all these people, I was watching one today where the guy's like dangling off if he falls, he's dead.
trying to put
We're
one,
so far away, yeah.
like some
There's
kind of
no
windmill
power.
over,
The only thing that's coming is a bear to eat you, to finish off whatever is left.
But I got that
So,
solar panel
yeah.
up.
That solar panel's great. My family's going to love
what
it.
television network is this on? Because
Discovery.
all right, I'm
Oh,
gonna
you just got it. Sundays are usually
and
built off the
television
grid.
in my house right now. This time of year is either baseball or YouTube.
Hey, man, I'm just telling you, this will be the last point because we got to wrap it up. But seriously, we'll talk about it next time. But you'll watch them go through all this hell, and then it's like a 500 by 600 square foot
Oh, it's
house,
like a mini
and they
house?
still got to go dig a trench for their,
For the
number
latrine.
2. And I'm just like, dude,
And
why?
it's edited
why?
for TV.
No,
Yeah.
I've seen those shows before. They're definitely
And they're never on. You want to talk about not being on time?
right. Yeah, no,
Watch this guy build a cabin. He
you
finished
definitely
it a
have
year
to be
later.
an interesting character to want to live off the grid the way these people are doing it.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, all
Oh,
right.
yeah, we're gonna recycle our urine for shower water. Like I'm gonna use this gray
lady
water
today
system,
was like,
and I'm
hey,
gonna
our air
use this
conditioning, I
solar.
dug a deep pipe. What?
Who's planting the beets?
Yeah.
We need all kinds of beets. Yeah.
This family, they're like, oh, we're going to bring up goats and chickens, and there's already a mountain lion, a bobcat, and
Right.
a bear rolling
Yeah.
around. Yeah, good luck.
Like, yeah, we're
Good
not
luck.
quite sure how we're
Sure.
gonna do this when there's
This
12
will
feet of
not go
snow
wrong
on the
at all.
ground. But
Hope you like turnips.
I was like, funny how they never go back to see how you're doing.
they're gonna chew on bark for the entire winter.
Right.
All
Get
right,
their fiber in them.
we're going to wrap it up. Check in with us midweek. We'll be doing a little Bronco. I can't get the Bronco out of me, but we'll be doing a little beginning
Stop
of the
it
year
already. Cut
podcast.
the cord.
No, good. Never.
No,
never.
you do it. Do
Right.
it.
I'll
you
be
do
fine.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they won't be
You
here,
do- it's
but I'll be
baseball
here.
season, but you
I
do
got
you.
Jeb and Casey Jones lined up.
Oh,
we'll
great.
be fine.
That's cool.
Check in with us Wednesday. We'll talk to you then on After Hours.